it's Rey. Today we are going to look at a flute. It is an instrument that I used to play when I was in band, and I still like to play it for fun sometimes. I definitely don't have the chops like I used to. It actually does take a surprising amount of facial muscle training. To play these instruments. So it's in a very durable, very safe, hard protective case here. Inside, it is velvety, some cushioned areas, and each piece has its own perfectly shaped bed to sit in. A flute has 3 pieces. We've got a mouthpiece here, the middle of the body, and then an end piece over here. There are definitely many different styles. Some actually have little holes where you put your fingers. Looking at a flute might look complicated because there definitely seems to be far more buttons than you have fingers. But don't worry. It's said that the flute might be one of the more difficult instruments to learn to play initially. And once you get through the beginning phases, it does get considerably easier, whereas some other instruments get more difficult as you learn to play them, interestingly. So with the flute, as we said, we have the mouthpiece here. I'm already getting some fingerprints on things, so I've got a little polishing cloth that I will use along the way. But that's what the mouthpiece looks like. It's got a broader flat section that goes up against your bottom lip. So you would play it just like this. If I were to play it towards me, I'd go this way. And we're blowing air across the hole on the top here, as if you're blowing across the top of a bottle. So you'll notice on on the end there is a screw, and this can be used to help tune the flute. That's a bit beyond my expertise. So give a little polish again as we go. It's very important to take good care of your musical instruments so that they can have long, healthy, good sounding musical lives. So again, for the mouthpiece, you can practice learning how to make noise just by blowing across this hole. So air movement over the top is what makes the noise. You can practice by putting your hand over the end of it and just blowing, and you can even practice making different sounds to blow through by moving your hand or even thumb or finger over the end of it. For example. Okay. And remember, it sits perfectly back, right in there. The end piece is the smallest piece. It has a little tab button there, a little tab button there, those two, but you can see these are controlled by these. So again, like we were saying, you wouldn't need to actually press these ones with your fingers because they're all controlled. So this one is controlled by that key. This one is controlled by this alone. And there's a little scrolly little key all on its own just behind this one that controls both. Alright, and again, I do like to polish it because fingers are oily by nature, and sitting with oily fingers doesn't sit well for these. If you're not sure if you have it placed in the right way, you can try, but it's just like a perfect fit puzzle. There's only one way it would fit in there. Same with when you're going to close it, you'll know for sure if everything's fitting the right way. And that brings us to the largest piece, probably beyond the mouthpiece, the most important, for this is what really controls the sounds that are coming through our flute. So our mouthpiece will attach at the top. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 buttons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So, you can see, it might be hard to get it all in one shot. These are the only places that your fingers need to be. So on the second one in, we skip one, 2 more. Our pinky will give us coverage for that one. It doesn't need to be there at all times. And then skipping, skip, down to these ones. And again, we do have control of other buttons with our other fingers. I feel like it's been so long since I've held my flute and really thought about it. It is one of those things with any instrument that becomes second nature. So really, these fingers stay together. These ones are only separated by 1. So that controls really just that. You can see there's actually no hole underneath of that button itself. So it controls that one. This controls both of those two. That one controls 2 more. Again, we get 2 more covered by this. Still covers that. And that one's always closed no matter which of these is depressed. We can also get control of just that. With that, these have the cutest little noises. And I'll see if I can show you. So when I'm pressing these little cute little feet over here, what it's opening is near the very top. If you can see those two. See if I can hold it. So what I would sometimes do is play around for sure. But I would sometimes connect 2 parts of my flute. So if it's facing me, we've got the top end and bottom end. They do fit over. And just give them a gentle little wiggle. And I don't know how well you can see on here, but there are 2 arrows, an arrow here, an arrow there, and we can line those up to get the proper alignment. So now, if you can see, I've still got my hand up here, and now from my 3 fingers there, I've got complete control of the bottom end with my pinky. Sometimes what I do is close everything, have everything closed over, and kind of cheat and warm up my instrument by just blowing air through the top directly, so putting my lips right on the end and just blowing air through it. Same thing I could do for the top part of my flute. I don't know if anybody else ever has done this, but I just might just blow directly air, like right into the end to help warm it up. A warm instrument is going to help you get it in tune faster. Same thing, we're just lining this up. Now from this end of the flute, there is another arrow at the top on this flute, and there's kind of the insignia of the brand of the flute, so we can line those up. Some of this is a bit personal preference, and same with on this end, the length of the flute, how long we have it extended, is going to affect the sound of it. So to get it in tune, for me, this is usually the about, I don't know if that's like even 3-4 millimeters out from being completely compressed to help keep it in tune. Some flutes, again, need to be adjusted in or out, whatever direction, and we also have more adjustments we can be making. So for you, if you were to play this flute, it would be facing, your mouth goes here, the rest of the flute is off to the right side of your body. And so if I were to hold it for myself, the left hand is at the top, right hand is at the bottom. You want to have good posture when you're playing a flute. And you have to be mindful of who's sitting next to you, so you're not blasting right in their ear and not hitting them in the shoulder. The fun thing is just the cool noises you can make just when you're playing around. And you can kind of just air blow into it and hear the sounds. I'm sorry to say I don't know if you can do that with other wind instruments. I don't know. Not reed instruments, that's for sure, but kind of a basic introduction of what it looks like, where we put our fingers, how the sound is made. gonna go. It's really important. I don't know how well you can see that either, but to have your fingering chart so that you know how to make each sound. And like I said, with the flute, getting the initial finger patterns down, that's the hard part. Like, this is a note. See if I'm in the frame here at all. That's a note, that's a note. There are subtle variations as you go through the octaves, but otherwise it just has to do with your mouth, really, like how high an octave you're making of that note. Again, there can be subtle changes to which keypads you're pressing, but once you get the basics down, it does stay pretty consistent. It's just what physically you learn to do, versus other instruments, the finger positions for certain notes may vary considerably. I think from here, my lovely introduction of the flute that I have not practiced in a long time. Getting carried away with the wonderful sounds that a little flute can make. So let's talk about our care. So in your flute case, there should be this magical wand. And you'll need an absorbent material. This one has seen some better days. But with this, it's just like a needle and a thread with your blanket. So it's got a hole. You're going to thread part of that absorbent cloth through and just start to gently wind it all the way down. Alright, and let's take our flute apart one step at a time. So again, gentle twisting motion. We never want to force anything that could damage the body of the flute. And we are just going to go in there and absorb any saliva that we may have introduced, because I did blow into it. That's how that works. And at the same time, just going to polish, remove any of those fingerprints I may have left behind. If I'm being picky, sometimes too, I will go in underneath the keypads and make sure things are dry in there as well. And then bring that out and pop it back in its cozy little home. Same thing again, gentle rotations, taking apart our flute. And using our very absorbent cotton cloth to clean up any spit. Condensation, let's call it condensation. And polishing off those fingerprints that I put on there. I find if there's something that needs a little extra, you can just go use your condensation to help buff out any sticky spots. There. And last but not least, our mouthpiece. This one, I know your mouth has been on it, so you really want to wipe that down quite nicely. It's a tricky instrument because it does not work well if you play with chapped lips, but you also really can't play it well with lip chap on. I know, kind of like an oxymoron there. Give that a good polish. wand goes back in. The only other thing I keep in my case, you really don't want anything else in there that's going to be causing problems pressing on the buttons or anything like that. But I have this teeny tiny pencil in, so if I needed to make notes on music, put some notes in for myself, I have a little pencil at the ready. I found the flute is an incredibly convenient instrument because it's very small, very portable. I don't remember how I keep this in here. My gosh, it's been that long. But again, I'll make sure I'm not forcing anything closed. Have it comfortably closed up there for us. And that, my friends, is an introduction to the flute. So not too much technical stuff, more about what it looks like, how it goes together. Kind of this would be what your first introduction to a flute would be in a band or music class or lessons if you were going to look at the flute. So we just looked about really what it looks like, how you hold it, how you can practice making sounds on it, and how to care for it. Those are very important things. Well, that's it for today. I hope that maybe it might have put you to sleep for something that's a little bit educational, right? At least maybe relaxing, or maybe an introduction to something you may have been curious about.